Today it's a Tuesday. No, it's a Wednesday. It's a Wednesday. It's a Wednesday. It's a Wednesday, and we are talking social media. In fact, easy social media strategies for immediate impact with the gorgeous, fabulous Olivia McIver from Soda Digital. How are you, Olivia?
I'm very good. Thank you, John.
Great to have you here. Now, if you are joining us on this live and you want to participate, it would be great to get your comments below. Simply hit the, tell us who you are, where you are. And in the comments below, I think we're going live on 5 channels, so as hopefully to Olivia's as well. If you have a question, please put that there and we will come back to you and ask any questions or answer those questions. But before we dive into those social strategies from our young entrepreneur here, let's hear a bit about Olivia. For those people who don't know, you want to share a couple of things about you that people don't know, Liv?
Yeah, who am I? So John mentioned I am a young entrepreneur. So my name is Liv, or it's Olivia, but I go by Liv. I'm 25 years old. I am in my 4th year of business and I operate in the social media space. And that's what I do and that's what I love.
So you were 21 when you started your business. What have you learned as a young entrepreneur in your 4 short years of being in business?
Feels like a long time, but it's also flown by. I have learned a lot of things, but there are 3 key things that I've definitely learned. First one is people. I'm really lucky to have such a strong network of people around me, and just people in my corner definitely rooting for me, and they've helped me through so many situations. The second thing I've learned is a process is never finished. It's one of those things, process for me, it's a painful task. And I always thought I've got the process, it's good to go. But I've come to realize that a process is never actually finished. You always have to work on it. And I think the last thing I've learned is that, especially in my industry as well, with a lot of smoke and mirrors, honesty is really important. And I definitely pride myself on being really honest with all of our clients, especially if things are working or not working.
And you're right. I think in our new age of vulnerability and authenticity, how do you approach some of those conversations? I guess from a process perspective, what sort of how do you have those conversations with clients?
I think it's just about having different touch points in different categories. So we've also got our touch points with our clients and comms that are very processed, e.g., replying to content or approving content and strategies. And then we've got different comms channels where we just have a chat with clients, see how they're feeling about the service, talk about some results and whether they are actually relevant, these kinds of things. So just segmenting those 2 comms categories, I suppose.
And what about process? Can you give us an example of a process that you're always re-looking at and seeing how you can better it or automate it, etc.?
Yeah, so we work in quarters. So our quarterly process, we've actually drawn it out. It looks like the game of life. We call it the game of soda. We're always refining it. I tend to review it every quarter at the end of the quarter. And there are a lot of moving parts in what we do. So it is important that I review it regularly. Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's always in the works.
Good to hear. Let's talk about some of the strategies that small or medium-sized business owners, for those people who might be doing their socials themselves, we'd probably recommend that you talk to Olivia. But for those people who are doing it yourself, what are some of those things that they're perhaps doing wrong, do you think?
I think where it's important to start is social media is one of those platforms that is very accessible for every business owner, which is why I really like the platform. But often people just stumble into the channel and they post a few things and they find that it's actually far more involved than what it seems. And I think the important thing to touch on first is that it is a platform or a channel with many objectives. So what I mean by this is, another example of advertising or digital marketing is Google AdWords. You sort of put money in and then you expect to get money out. So it's a very clear objective of lead gen. Yes, there's lots of optimization in the process, but with social, there's a lot of objectives, which often makes it really confusing. So some examples of those objectives are brand awareness, you've got the community aspect, you've got the lead generation tool. Some people use it as a customer support tool. There's a social responsibility piece, and there's more objectives. So you can see why it can get quite confusing when you actually dive into it. So I think first thing is being really clear on what the objective is and why you're using the platform. And that objective can shift, but making sure that each quarter, and this is what we do for our clients, pick a focus and pick an objective and stick to it. And do it on a more granular level, and then slowly work your way through different focuses and objectives.
Can you give us an example of that?
Yeah, so an example is, since we're on LinkedIn, obviously, if you're running a personal brand strategy on LinkedIn, you're not going to go posting hugely curated content if you don't have a follower base. So your first focus should be, all right, let's build your connections and let's get it to your first 500. Then you've got an audience to actually broadcast your content to. So there is a roadmap, and that can be quite difficult to feel out when you've got lots of platforms on the go. So you focus on one platform, think about what your objective is, and then make some goals from there. Definitely something we can help out with. But yeah, that can cause a lot of confusion for a lot of business owners.
I know that you're big into looking at the data. Can you give us an example of a data-driven strategy?
Yeah, so again, many metrics on social. It is a platform of many. So an example of that is, we had a client, they do really high-end wardrobes, and they were posting at around sort of 6 or 7 p.m. When we looked at their data, we saw that their audience was actually online at midnight. The client was really unsure about posting then, but we said the data told us this. We may as well give it a go for a fortnight. So we end up posting those photos or their content for the next fortnight at between sort of 12 to 12:30, and their engagement rate went up hugely. So small little data increments can make a huge difference to your performance.
That is quite incredible. I know, one of our collective friends is in trades, and I was doing an interview with Carl Martin, our trades coach, and I was saying to him, when are his audience looking on social media? And you said between 6 and 7 p.m. So we did our live stream at bang on 6:30, and sure enough, Carl has had one of the highest engagements of a live stream by obviously going live at those times. What's another strategy that you can see that people can apply today?
Okay, so I think what's important is sharing some strategies that you could do yourself that are easy to implement, that you'll see quite immediate kickback from. So first thing is, people and faces are really, really important. So faces are really the catalyst for connection. And I love that term, and it's true. I think people spend a lot of time getting really caught up and worried about sharing photos of themselves or people in their organization, when in actual fact, that's what the audience wants to see. So if you post a photo of either you or someone in your team, I can guarantee you your engagement and reach will go up significantly. It's just how it works. And I also think people get caught up in thinking that they require a professional photo shoot to be done. Obviously, that's always great, but if you don't have that resource, don't worry about it. Your phones have really good cameras, but really make an effort to put your face on your social channels. I think it makes a huge, huge difference.
And what would you recommend? Having 10 or 20 different photos in different attire? What's your approach to people if they don't want to spend the money on a professional photo shoot?
Yep, I think so. You can have around sort of 15 photos and then rotate them. We tend to shoot in quarters for our clients. Some of our clients hate photos. We've got some joint clients, John, that just hate being in front of the camera. What we do is we get them in for a reporting meeting and we shoot them while they're in the meeting, and that works fine. So there's ways you can go about it. Candid shots. We've coached people on how to take photos at home, and they've got their partners to do it. There's things you can do, but I think it's just really important to get your face and get the faces of your organization on your channels.
And of course, the photos don't always need to be, you looking down the barrel, right? It can be, you in situ, walking places, at work, as you said, coming in for a reporting session. They don't have to be. What's another strategy that obviously faces, people in your socials is definitely number one? What's another one?
Okay, so another one is, it's not all about education. So I think a lot of business owners or people that manage social media accounts get really, really caught up in the education side of things. When in actual fact, and this happens to us, we spend sometimes a lot of time curating these like incredible education pieces. And then we post a photo of a dog and it outperforms it by a mile. So it's not always about pushing out these big meaty pieces. You can get away with bringing in some fun content into the mix, but it is important to do. However, don't get caught up on it because these are time suckers. And often, when a lot of businesses tend to focus on the education stuff, they get content burnout and then they leave it for a while. So come up with a content mix that you can definitely cater to education as well as some other fun pieces.
Yes, I think you certainly know my opinion on this one is personal content, and I know personal content on LinkedIn. I see a lot of people who post a little, almost like a disclaimer saying, "I'm really sorry for posting personal content on LinkedIn," and ultimately, it's how we connect. It's how we connect with people personally. So, yeah, share the personal stuff, and obviously, what's your opinion on people using video? Do you encourage your clients to get in front of the camera?
Always use video, especially if you are new to a platform such as LinkedIn. I've got some new team members that are building out their personal brand, and we had John come in yesterday because we try to get personality across, and that can be really hard to do in words and in photos. So video is such a big part of a content strategy, and that's just another thing that people dread, but it makes a world of difference.
The very famous Chris Berryman, thank you for joining us from the United States of America. Chris, he says, keep it surprisingly simple. What's your opinion on that?
Oh, I just have to agree. That's exactly it. And I think Chris and then also Glenn, he's all about imperfect action. Just do it. And I think you'll be surprised what will get uptake. Some people, or we've got clients that everything has to be perfect. They think on LinkedIn you have to be wearing a blazer and it has to be a professionally done shot. It's not always the case. Think about your audience and your end user and then work back from there, but do it in a simple way.
Yes, I remember Glenn saying probably a little while ago that if he's 40% happy with a video or 40% happy with it, just let it go. I think we all look at ourselves objectively and say, "Oh, look, we're not perfect." No, we're not. Yeah. But of course, other people don't see that. They just see Olivia or they see John, and so long as you're being authentic and then you'll come across well. Chris also said about obviously building community. You said if you're new on LinkedIn, build that first 500 people to get to that know, like, trust. What's another strategy that you would encourage people to employ?
Okay, another strategy, and it's a simple one, but one people often miss, is engaging in your feed. And this can be tricky because we're all busy and the days fly by. But I would really encourage you to set 20 minutes aside a day if that's what you have, 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon, and engage in your feed and do it with intent. Because we get a lot of people coming to us saying, my content doesn't get any comments or likes or shares, when in actual fact, they're not doing the same. It's all about engagement in, engagement out. So engage in your feed, engage with people that you wouldn't usually. So not the usual, your best mate and the auntie. Think about who you want to be having conversations with and engage with them, but make sure it's done with intent.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this. And if you did nothing else, even if you didn't post any content on LinkedIn or Facebook, again, I can't really speak for Instagram, but if you just engaged other people's content, then reciprocity is a thing, right?
Yeah.
People will, they will reciprocate if they'll go and look on your profile. It's always a really great metric for me of are people looking at my profile? Are they seeing the content? Are they checking in with you and making sure that you're engaging with them? And what's your do you, when you say intentional engage, do you encourage people to ask questions in the comments?
Yes, always ask an open-ended question at the end of a caption or have some kind of call to action that a user can engage with. Definitely. And I think our tagline is conversation is the new conversion. And I do truly believe in that. We're all here to have conversations with people, potential clients, potential prospects. So think about that as part of your strategy. How are you going to open up conversations with these people? That's actually very easily done through comments.
And I think a lot of people, when you post content, often the first thing is, well, thank you so much for commenting, and they just go, oh, thanks, Olivia, thanks so much. And it's, I think even I love having those sort of side conversations or multiple side conversations in a thread that's not even related back to, it's just like you can have a conversation you haven't heard from someone for a little while and say, so how was your recent holiday, Olivia? And you have that conversation, have lots of side conversations, sort of about building that relatedness with those people online, and then you can take it offline, obviously. Any more strategies for immediate impact?
Yes, I've got one more strategy, and that is to adopt an organization-wide strategy. So as we know, people are the best advocates for your business, and you can get far more reach by using your people to promote your company. This can be done very easily through LinkedIn as well as Instagram, and we've seen huge success from some of our clients on doing this. I've seen really great strategies that have been done this way by like salons. We did it with a physio business. Using the people to drive the business is really, really cool. And you could do it as a handle, for example, live at Soda Digital, or live at Liv's Beauty Salon. And it just means that they have a platform to create their own content, create their own reach, build their own audience, and then cross promote. And I think it's quite unique, it's fun, and you can get everyone involved. And I think it's really important to do, actually.
What about what do you talk with them about pillars? Can you explain to people what pillars are in the content game?
Yeah, so pillars basically set the tone for your content, in short form, but they are necessary because you need to know what you're talking about and why you're talking about that. And again, come back to those objectives that we talked about earlier. So objective, why, and what, so that your content has a purpose. The way we usually work something like that is we have, obviously, the organization has their own content strategy. So we use some of that, and then we supplement with more personalized content for that individual profile. And that works really well. So that means that if you had a team and say your goal or KPI for the team was to post 3 times a week, you could have one post that was, went out across the organization, that was created by either your social media agency or by yourselves. And then you could have your team supplementing that with one post that they have curated, more of a personal piece, and then one post of something they've got up to that week. So it's quite easy to do. It's just about having a bit of structure in place and knowing what to post and when, and taking action on that.
And it is. I have a couple more questions for you. One is around consistency of posting. What are your recommendations on how often people need to post?
So this is always an interesting question, because I think there is a misconception out there that you have to post 5 times a day, and that's not realistic for a lot of people. So I encourage to post, posting 2 to 3 times per week, but good posts, posts that add some value. And that's actually more than enough. If you're building connection in that way, posting 2 to 3 times a week is more than enough. I think what's more important on a daily basis is making sure you are engaging in your feed and doing that piece, because that's what's going to sort of level up your content when you come to post. But don't get too worried about posting daily. It's a hard thing to achieve, especially if you're not content minded.
Quality over quantity, right?
Always.
And last question for you is coming back to your work at Soda. How many on the team?
So there's me and there's 3 other fizzers. And it's a great team. John, you had the pleasure of meeting the team yesterday. Love them to bits. We all sit in our own sort of seats of expertise.
And so how do you break them down? You've got someone, obviously you're the strategy gal. Where do the other guys sit in their expertise?
So I'm chief fizzer. I wear many hats, but I also overlook strategy. Then we've got Jess. She looks after all of our social media accounts as the account management and scheduling, makes sure that we're getting the posts out and that they're all quality controlled. Geo is our creative wizard. She does all the content creation and makes sure that it's all on brand. And then we have Solomon. He is our paid ad specialist. So there's lots of moving parts in the service that we provide. So it's important that we have people in those seats to cater to that.
And of course, Solomon is your most recent hire, and he's a boy. How is he fitting into the traditional girl set?
So he's learnt a lot. Sol is currently dabbling in taking collagen. and he has a hand cream on his desk. So he is a changed man. He is leveling up in our eyes. When I interviewed Sol, I asked him if he was okay with the color pink, which he obviously had to be. As you can see, everything's pink. And he assured me that it suited his undertones. So he's settling in really well. And it's really good to have a boy in the mix.
Great to have you on the show with easy social media strategies for immediate impact. Olivia McIver, always wonderful chatting with you, and we will see you next time. Any last words for the many comments? Got lots of comments to go back and continue that conversation with our live. If you have commented, thank you so much. Any last words, Olivia?
Just want to say thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions, reach out via LinkedIn DM. I will get back to you. It's one of those industries that people always have questions. So definitely reach out and I'll be more than happy to help.